This video, I'm going to be sharing with you the belief system of a high vibrational badass, showing you exactly what you can do to transcend the layers that no longer serve you and what you must do in order to really live in a higher vibrational state of consciousness. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the ways that you can go about transcending some of the limiting beliefs of the lower levels of consciousness. And this is something I've been studying a lot recently, is understanding the different belief systems, the belief systems of certain types of people that have either become successful and gotten a certain type of result that we want to get, people that we may consider to be quote unquote enlightened, that then it's like, what is their belief system like? Because this is the thing, this is what I love so much about belief systems. It is knowing that in reality, our beliefs create our reality. So if we understand the belief system of a certain type of person that has a certain type of result, we can then see their mindset and see what we have to do in order to get there. Now, with that being said, it does not end there. Because as we move up the scale of consciousness, maybe you've seen me share that scale of consciousness before, the higher up this scale of consciousness we move, the more we actually let go of the beliefs in general. So this is when we get into unfamiliar territory, when we may look around and go, well, what is true in the world? What kind of beliefs? If everyone has different beliefs, then what is actually true? What is the true beliefs that we quote unquote should have? Well, that's when it's even more of a gray area, because this is, let me share with you something right now that I think could change your life if you really begin to absorb this idea. The one truth in life is that all truths are true. Meaning, whatever you believe to be true, whatever notions you have about life, you will go out into the world and you will experience a reflection of whatever that is. Now, you may have a certain belief, a certain notion about the world, go out and experience it in a certain way. Someone else might go out and experience it in a totally different way. Now, why is it true for them and not me? And why is this true for me and not them? Then there must be something going on with it. One has to be true, one has to be right, one has to be wrong. But in the world of understanding belief systems, there is no right or wrong. There is just, does this work or does this not work? Is this efficient or is this not efficient? Is this productive or not productive? You see, the ego always wants to be right. And the ego will always seek out situations that reaffirm its identity. But the thing is what may be quote unquote true may not be what you want to experience, but the more solidity, the more you emphasize that identity, the more you experience it. Because all the brain can do, all the brain wants to do is keep you to survive. The brain is a survival mechanism. So we cannot really rely on the brain to get us everything we want in life. This is about going beyond the brain. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video, is understanding the higher vibrational states of consciousness and going beyond belief. Going beyond belief systems into a knowing, into a higher state of consciousness. So let me show you that chart again, right there. The chart you see at the bottom, you see shame, fear, guilt. Then eventually you get up to anger, which is actually a higher vibration than the lower emotional ones. Then eventually you get up to willingness. You see neutrality, can't skip neutrality because that's a powerful place right there. Then we move up into willingness, eventually into reasoning. And the reasoning, that's the intellect. Einstein calibrated at 499 because he was smart. And because he was smart, that was as far as it could go though. He brushed on the edges of that of love, which is the next paradigm, but it was more so in the intellectual understanding of it. And in order to actually get to that expression and that consciousness of unconditional love, he would have had to drop all those ideologies that got him so far. So I just said that to give you an idea of the different levels of consciousness. However, when you look at reasoning and below, what has happened is most people with the law of attraction are trying to attract things in their life from the level of consciousness of a 200 or 300 and below. which means they're feeling lack, they may be feeling fear. Say, I want money, I want to create money in my life, but they feel the fear of going forward in that direction. They may have shame for the past, and because of that, there's a script of the past constantly playing in their mind, which means then they're going to experience it again in the future, different versions of the past because it's still related to the past. So people are kind of caught up in the 300 and below range, not knowing, because then I come along and I go, hey, I know you want to attract the specific person and all of these things, but here's something better for you. Here's something that will actually get you there even faster. If you raise your level of consciousness, you're going to increase your vibration, and when you're in a higher vibrational state, you're going to manifest this stuff even easier. But the thing is it doesn't sound as sexy. I could put that in a YouTube video, and I do put that in YouTube videos, and I'm like, transcend vibration, raise your vibration. But sometimes people, click on that and they get a lot of value out of it, but people more so seem to be interested in the law of attraction and attracting certain things. But that will only get you so far. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, instead of going for the belief system, instead of even going for the law of attraction, raise the level of consciousness. If you raise your level of consciousness, problem solved. There aren't any problems, because you see that if there's something you want to experience, it's like, well, I can generate those emotions right now. Do I have to get on this hamster wheel of trying and trying and trying, or can I just allow myself to feel some emotion, to feel positive, feel validation? And the paradox is, the more validation that you feel, the more you go out into the world and you get reference experiences and you get a reflection that you are validated, that you are whole and complete. Other people look at you and go, like, yo, you look whole and complete. So it's like this cycle that continues to go around itself because we have raised our level of consciousness. So it's actually more so the cure, the solution to all of our problems is raising our level of consciousness. Now, let's talk about the belief systems of somebody in the lower states of consciousness. In lower states of consciousness, now, if you feel like this, you feel like you have lower, you're like, well, am I in the lower vibrational states of consciousness? I don't know. Well, don't beat yourself up first off. There are different stages, or different moods that we get into. There's different levels that we may fluctuate in between. But in general, if you are experiencing the lower paradigm of a belief system with shame, fear, guilt, just understand that that's most likely an autopilot script that just continues to play over and over and over again. And the key to transcending the lower emotions is sometimes hard to hear, but it's the only way. The only way is to get out of the victim mode. To get out of the victim mode, because in the lower level paradigms, there is a perspective that the world is happening to me. And then not only that, but there's a perspective to where it's like, this is all on autopilot. It's just running itself out over and over again. So it's a script that just keeps going, and then we keep playing ourselves a story that we are a victim. Now, I'm not some white guy that's just saying this. It's like, he probably has never had to deal with anything in his life that's negative. Or I'm not like, just on a mountaintop like, this is, just drop that stuff. You're not a victim. I was a victim for a period of my life between 7 and 15 years old. I thought I was a victim even after I got out of that situation. Eventually what happened is I got out of it, but I still felt not whole and complete. I still felt negative emotion. And what I had to learn how to do is I had to learn how to reframe that whole situation. You've probably heard my story, maybe you've heard my story before, but just what I went through between 7 and 15 years old. And as I transformed that meaning, it transformed my life. I was able to let go of that perspective. The more that we identify, the more that we reaffirm these lower states of consciousness, which may have an identity attached to it, because quote unquote, things always happen to me, there's always something wrong, or whatever it is, that might give us significance, because then other people look at us like, yeah, but this is the way it is. Sometimes even feeling angry to some people feels pleasurable because it's an emotion that is more dynamic. You can feel it more than you feel shame, fear, or guilt, which is an even lower vibration than anger. You see, so the key is to be aware of the perspectives you have, and a very powerful shift happens when you go from the victim mentality into taking responsibility. Now, that doesn't mean that maybe someone did something to you. I'm not saying that you have to admit that there's nothing wrong there and that you chose that, but I will tell you something that's very powerful. If you treat those situations as if you did choose it from a higher level, maybe as a learning lesson, then you will be more easily able to transform it, which is hard to hear because there's some horrible stuff that's happened to people, and I get that. However, if it remains in that this happened to me, there is a pattern there, and there is an attachment to that situation happening, and everything in the future will be compared to that past experience. So the key is to transcend it, to let it go. So while it might seem harsh that I say these things, that's like the ability, and just so you know, responsibility simply means the ability to respond rather than the ability to react, because almost everyone's in reaction mode. They go to work, they do the same things, they talk to the same people, therefore they get the same result over and over and over again. In order to go beyond, what you have to do is you have to go beyond those thoughts, emotions, and actions. You have to start to put yourself in unfamiliar territory. And as you do that, you begin to raise your vibration. So those are the belief systems of the 200s, the 300s, and below, is mainly that things are happening to me, the victim mentality. The way you transcend that belief system is by taking responsibility for what's happening, knowing that it served you in some way, even if that way is for you to grow. Even if that way is a lesson, then it still served you. And as you do that, as you treat that situation as if you chose it, you will then start to gain your power back. You will start to then see that you transform that negative emotion. Now, let's move into a next level. The next level is that of us creating what we want in our life with our intellect, which is where we become more hyper-aware of the beliefs we have about reality. Well, what do I believe about money? What do I believe about relationships? What do I believe about all these different things? And we can look at our beliefs, and if you have a belief that says money is hard to make, well, that's a belief system, and that's a limiting belief system at that. If you have a belief that says it's hard to attract a relationship because all the people I attract are this type of way, then that's also a belief system and a very limiting one. But the key is that, once again, most people have all of this on autopilot. Some guy may have been in a relationship with this type of girl, and then he attracted another girl that was just like that, and there's a pattern. He's like, oh, this is what I'm worthy of. And then every person after that's the same type of way. That's a pattern. It's a belief. And that belief is constantly reflected back, that I always attract girls like this, or I always attract guys like this. Once you're aware of it, you begin to snap out of the social conditioning. Because sometimes we also take on the beliefs of social conditioning. We take on the beliefs of the media. I need to look this way. I saw this model that weighs 110 pounds on this magazine cover. I gotta be the same way. But that's a belief that's just something that's there because it's been conditioned so often since you've been probably like 2 or 3 years old. You've been going to the grocery store, seeing things with your parents and on the little stands of like these perfect models. So therefore we always see that, we always get conditioned, oh, that's what's normal, that's what's normal, even though it's not normal at all. But over repetition, guess what? The mind will start to believe it. So now we have these beliefs that say that's what I have to be. And if I'm not up to this standard, this blueprint in my mind, then I'm not good enough. But that's, once again, just something that's projected onto us. It's something we've agreed upon. Any belief that we've had, we at a certain level have agreed that that is the way reality works, that that is how we should be. But the key is shifting out of that into more of the awareness that you don't have to believe it. Remember, all beliefs are true. All truths are true. Whatever you affirm, and so it is. So instead, become aware, take inventory of your beliefs. Because as you take inventory of your beliefs, you can see what does serve you, what doesn't serve you. When you're around certain people, maybe they make your vibration feel a certain way. Now, as you move up this scale, you will also see that your vibration begins to raise. You start to feel better. I remember when I went through my spiritual awakening back in 2012, I felt the majority of the time that I was at about, if we had to say a scale of 1 to 10, 10 feeling amazing, 1 feeling not so great. On average, I was at a 3, 4, or 5 out of 10. Not so great, not 1, which is actually horrible, but not so great at the same time. I then went through my spiritual awakening. I learned how to observe my thoughts, which is that state of neutrality. And when I learned how to observe my thoughts, what happened is I let go of all those lower vibrational states of consciousness. It automatically raised my vibration to where I felt like I was at an 7 or 8 out of 10. I felt really good. Didn't need alcohol, didn't need to drink, smoke, or anything. I just felt very good. So it was like a natural progression that happened because I dropped a lot of the old belief systems. What I really dropped was also the victim mentality, because I had this victim mentality for years that I had an abusive ex-stepmom, that why did this happen, why am I not worthy, and then I started to reframe all of that. And when I did that, everything began to change. So here's the thing, becoming aware of our own beliefs. What I have to believe is true to be having this kind of experience is like the best question you can ask, because the brain will start to find experiences. The brain will start to find answers, and then you can ask yourself, what is the reference experience that this belief came from? So you may say, why do I believe that For example, you go to talk to some girl or some guy, right? And normally you start to do this and you start to do it, but you start to feel all of this resistance. Well, it could be the belief systems of social conditioning. It could be this time that you stood up in class and you put yourself out there and then you got shut down because you stuttered or whatever it was and you didn't know what to say. It could have been the first girl or guy that you ever talked to rejected you, so therefore that kind of feeling is running itself out. But the moment you become aware of it is the moment you can then feel it, allow yourself to feel it, and you can ask yourself the question, what would I have to believe is true to be feeling this much negative emotion when I go up to talk to someone I think that I might like? You'd be like, oh, there's this memory that comes up from when I was 12 years old. Oh, well, let me work on that. Let me see that. Let me allow that to be there, and let me let it go. Let me process it. Because really what's happened is that belief hasn't been processed. That emotion hasn't been processed. It's been sitting in the energy field subconsciously. So the key is being aware of all this. Then what happens is we begin to drop all the beliefs that no longer serve. Now remember, the one truth in life is that all truths are true. The meaning that we get out of life is what we put into it. So when you see these, okay, 400 to 500 is on my YouTube channel what I've been teaching for a while now. I've been teaching people how to take more ability to understand the intellectual part of how to control their reality, or not even control it, but to choose how they relate to reality so that they can drop the belief systems that no longer work and they can start to experience their life in a powerful way. It's powerful, however, there's an even higher vibrational state of consciousness. Now this is a paradox. You come to understand all the beliefs you have. You come to take inventory of all of these things, but then what you learn how to do is you learn that since all truths are true, in order to get to the next level from 400 to 500 to that of love, you have to completely let go of all those perspectives. You have to let go of the identity that says, I am right, I have all of this stuff figured out, because those are all limitations. And instead what you do is you let go and you allow the moment to be. This is a much higher level of vibration. This is a much higher level of consciousness when it comes to manifestation, and this will begin to transform your life. This is what we learn with Eastern philosophy. Just be present to the moment. Surrender. Now, why is it like this? Now, you might get surrender in the lower emotions of apathy, for example, but it's a very different vibration. You say, well, apathy, I just don't care, but it's a I don't care, I'm going to give up on life type thing. Whereas when we get up to that of love, it's like, I don't care because I'm already whole and complete. It's like I have just this light that I shine on the world because everything is perfect the way that it is. I surrender to the present moment because the present moment is amazing. We're more so embodying the true frequency of who we are. Now here is the thing as well. This might help make this process understandable even easier. Our natural vibration, who we really are, is these higher states of consciousness. Enlightenment, love, joy, peace. That is who we really are. We come and we incarnate into life. What happens is then we get here and we get all this emotional baggage. We pick up the beliefs of our parents. We pick up the beliefs of our environment, and we tag on these lower emotions. These lower emotions then we identify with them, and we create these patterns thinking that this is who we are. They become so familiar, even though they're lesser vibration. It's so familiar that that's how we think reality works. But then what eventually happens is part of life is moving back up this scale, back to the wholeness of who we are. But to get there, it's not about piling on a new belief. Well, right now I only believe I can make $50,000 a year, and now I'm going to try to make $100,000 a year. That can work. But that's manifesting from a 400 to 500 range. What I'm saying is that if you get into the vibrational state, you see yourself as whole and complete, you start to exist and you surrender to the present moment and you align yourself, you will actually work from a higher paradigm. And as you do this, you feel in a higher vibrational state, higher vibrational state, higher vibrational state. And the more you do that, the more things change. The more you are letting go of the past experiences. So instead of, I make a $50K a year, I want to make $100K a year, I make $100K a year, I make $100K a year, you're still operating within a paradigm of only making $100K a year. You may be actually limiting yourself, to be honest with you. But what you could do is instead focus on transcending your level of consciousness, raising your vibration by not getting a new perspective, letting go of the ones that no longer serve. Becoming aware of the truth. The truth is, all of these are a matter of perspective. The only truth in life is that all truths are true, meaning everything is always reflected back to us. Literally, the meaning that is in life is the meaning we give it. This isn't a metaphor. This is actually the one-on-one reflection of what we experience. So we think, oh, well, that person can have that, then I can't have this. We have all these comparisons. I'm saying focus on you. Focus on how you can add value to people. Maybe that's what you can do as well, because that feels good. That brings you up your vibrational state of consciousness. But focus on being in that high vibe state, which is your natural state, by letting go of all these beliefs, by letting go of all these perspectives, of understanding that the one truth in life is that all truths are true. And as you do that, you can start to then align yourself with the true person of who you are, the true spirit that you are, the true vibration of your passion, you moving in the direction of a vibrational feeling rather than moving in the direction of the result that you might get from something like the money, relationship, whatever it is. Focus on raising your vibration. The belief system of having a high vibration is just letting go and releasing, and being aware of the one truth, that all truths are true. And the moment you change your life and you absolutely transform everything is when you start to engage in life rather than react. When you wake up from the hypnosis of societal conditioning, waking up from thinking and looking out at the Kardashians and all of this other stuff that's happening in the newspapers, that all is there. You can acknowledge it, but what you can begin to do is see that there is so much more to life. That you don't have to buy into everything that you were told since you were young. You don't have to buy in and get triggered when you see political stuff happening. That is all just a certain agreement that people have made. That's an agreement. In order for people to get emotionally triggered with that, they agreed that that's part of reality. You can transcend all of this by letting go of positionalities, by letting go of these beliefs of having to intellectually figure it all out, and then be in a higher vibrational state of being by simply letting go and understanding the truth that you are whole and complete, that you can become aware of all these beliefs you have, you can become more present to the moment. As you do these things, you will get the results. You will get the things you want to attract in your life because you are existing in a higher state of consciousness. So it's about raising your vibration, understanding that that's who you are, and as you begin to change that, everything in your life will change. So with that, if you want a meditation that will help you to raise your vibrational set point, kind of like I was talking about, how I went from a 3 to 5 out of 10 to a 7 to 8 out of 10. I have a meditation that will help you to do that. I recommend you listen to it for 21 days. It's the top of the description box below. Also, I'll be doing more live Q&As on Instagram. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can see it, boom, right here. I do daily, I post twice a day there. Plus, not only that, I do live Q&As every now and then. So if you want to ask me questions, interact with me, you can follow me there. And other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video. If you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little notification gear next to the subscribe button so that you can see the daily vids that I do. And other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.